How many of you have an Apple product? How many? So most of them. Recently, Apple announced that they would be coming out with the new iPhone 6, iPhone 6 Plus, and Apple Watch. My brother and I have been very excited for this day to come. We've had our iPhone 5s for 2 years, and we're ready for the upgrade. My mother and father were also very excited for this, but their excitement was different from ours. They grew up in the 80s, a time where cell phones and personal computers were virtually non-existent. And they both agree on one thing: technology brings us together. Phones have made it cheaper to contact people instantly, computers have made tasks of daily life easier, and the internet has put the world at our fingertips. Communication is very important today, so cell phones are almost a necessity. Communication by phones has grown cheaper and easier over the years. Back when my parents were growing up, families used to have to share one landline phone, and that could not have been easy. They also informed me of what they called teen lines, which were basically an extra line that you would add on to a household for the teens in the house. My mother and her sister shared one of these lines from the time they're in middle school to the point where they graduate high school. If my brother and I had to share a line like that, I know we would have fought. And my mom said that's what her and her sister did. When my parents were in college, landline phones were still the way to communicate, although it was almost too expensive to utilize. They compared it to calling overseas today. My dad seems to remember it as around $1 a minute. So it was almost easier to send letters. And they didn't want to do that. They only lived 2 hours away from home, so that made them really homesick. I never had to experience anything like this until I traveled to Greece and Italy this past summer. It cost me over $1 a minute to call home too. And because of that, I was only able to call home twice. And that made me really homesick, so I can sympathize with how hard my parents had it in college. Like phones, computers make things easier. Particularly, computers make tasks like typing documents and research easy, fast, and cheap. The places to find computers when my parents were growing up were primarily schools. My mom remembers playing Oregon Trail on big Apple Macintosh computers when she was in elementary school. And I also remember doing the same thing. I don't know if any of you guys played Oregon Trail when you were in elementary school. It was pretty fun. When my mom was in high school, the teachers required final drafts of papers to be typed with a typewriter. And my mom hated writing on a typewriter, so she would beg her mother to type her papers for her. Computers have become cheaper and more accessible over the years. When my parents were growing up, everybody wanted one, but few families had enough money to purchase one. When my dad was in college, he finally saved up paycheck after paycheck and finally bought his first computer. It was an Apple Macintosh computer, and it costed him around $3,600. And that shocked me because my computer, right here, costed me $1,200. Significantly cheaper and way better technology. Computers made it easier for people to get things done, but once the internet came into the picture, computers were that much more important. The internet is the fastest it's ever been, and now that we can access it through any type of technology, it's the best. It's provided a significant change in business. Today, my mother doesn't have to travel to go to meetings. She can get on chats on the internet like Skype and Google Hangout to talk to her colleagues. My dad uses it to make the schedule at IB, and he used to have to pencil in everything, so now it's much more easier for him to do his job. I use the internet to keep up with my friends and my family, and particularly with foreign exchange students who live across the world. I'm still really good friends with a boy from Serbia that came to my school my sophomore year. And without the internet, our ability to contact people across the world would not happen. Technology has made so many changes that people rely on heavily today, so if it were to go away, we miss out on something great. Technological innovation of phones, computers, and the internet have made connecting with people not only readily available, but easy and cheap. Innovation is helping us now and will continue to do so in the future, even in ways we don't see, like medical care and transportation. Cutting it out would only make the world bigger and our opportunities slimmer.